It's showtime, folks.
Absolute Cinema. Welcome back. Justin Lynch Bioc Beams here for a very special video here. Your 2026 Chicago Blackhawks season awards slash superlatives. And we're back in school with the yearbooks. They always do like most popular, most likely to succeed, class clown. I was always the class clown. Shocker. So that was kind of what I had, the idea I had for this video. But I couldn't just do that by myself. That'd be very boring. So I thought I'd bring back the old crew, the old barn. We got Mr. Andrew Nolan back. He joined me this week actually for a Hawks prospect video, top 10 Blackhawks prospects. If you have not watched that video, go watch that video. It's a very good one. We cooked in that one. And we also have Natalie Chibi joining us here today, back on the program. I believe we've had you on a little bit early on the season for the Lucas Reichel trade breakdown, but first time back on since then. Sorry, I hate to bring up bad memories there, but yeah, we've had you both on the program here, and good to have you back. Better late than never. Better late than never. Hopefully, we'll have you guys on more in the future. But yeah, first of all, before we get into this, how are you both doing? Yeah.
Nat, you want to go first?
Sure. So I've been doing pretty good. I just started grad school in January, so I'm currently going to DePaul for sports journalism. I've had a couple of internships, more specifically with a CBS Sports affiliated organization called 24/7 Sports. I was the women's basketball beat writer for DePaul University. I have also started writing for DePaul's student newspaper, the DePaulia, and I actually had one of my stories trend. And it's really funny because my first clip that ever went viral was when I rained on Seth Jones' parade, and I brought back that Florida Panthers hatred, and I wrote an article about the Panthers missing the playoffs, and this was back in February. So I didn't know if they were actually going to make it or not. I was kind of biting my tongue, just how I did with Seth Jones making the Olympics. But it trended. It was number one for like 2-3 weeks after they got knocked out, so that was fun. And I'm working for the White Sox. I'm a stage manager there now, and finished up my first season with the Blackhawks. But yeah, just immersing myself in sports. I am doing a lot more with hockey than I was back in June, July, when everybody first kind of met me. And I'm just super excited to keep the ball rolling with that.
Do they know that you're a Cubs fan?
Yes, they actually do. So at the end of the season party last year, like a couple people knew I was a Cubs fan, but it got discovered by everyone, including my bosses, and they follow me on Instagram too, so it's like not very hard to figure out. But even after finding that out in like November, they gave me a call in January saying, "Hey, we want you to come back." And I'm like, I guess I'm the only Cubs fan in the history of the White Sox that has ever pulled a second season with the White Sox after figuring out.
I was going to say absolutely crazy moment because I was at a White Sox game this year. It was that first series versus the Blue Jays. They won it. Both Murakami and Montgomery had a home run. It was a second game, so it wasn't the opener. And I'm just at the game, and then I look at the jumbotron, and I just see Natalie just spawn on the jumbotron. I'm like, what the? It's like I know you work for the team, so like I know there's a decent chance I might you might be a reference or something, but I was not expecting to see you on the jumbotron. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. So excellent work there. Very cool. How about you, Nolan? How are you doing?
Well, my life's not as busy as Nat's life. My life is let's see. Over the next 6 months, trying to fill my void with Blackhawks list stuff. Let's see. I will say, after 3 weeks of the baseball season, Nico Horner MVP is still valid. I watched last night. I was at the game. Now 3-0 at Wrigley this year, so I'm very happy about that. But yeah, no, I'm just really excited to keep watching. The greatest playoffs in all the sports. It's been a great start to the Stanley Cup playoffs so far. So I'm looking forward to that. That's pretty much going to consume all my time for the next 2 months. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in a similar boat as you. I don't think either of us are probably as busy as Natalie. Bjork Memes is basically my full-time venture. I do a bit of writing, freelance writing for Heavy and Blackhawk Up, and but between the social media and YouTube, this is pretty much this is what I do. So, but yeah, trying to cook here. But anyway, we can now get into the body of the video here. Blackhawks season awards. I think we will start off with MVP, most valuable player, best player on the Blackhawks. Which of you would like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think this is probably one of the easier awards of the year. The only player to go over point per game, the only player who meant anything to this team this year. Actually, whatever. Connor Bedard, MVP. I don't really think it's that hard to argue about this award. 75 points in 69 games. Nice. I mean, he should have been on pace. You look at where he was December 12th when he got that fluke injury in St. Louis. I mean, he was on pace for 120 points. He was on pace to carry the Blackhawks to the playoffs. He was still on pace to make Team Canada even. Like, you look at that was such a crucial turning point and everything. And then he's out for a month, and then the team just. And then he couldn't find his form for a little bit, being out with Nazar as well. But you look at those first 2 months, we saw our franchise cornerstone right there. And that's all I really needed to see. Give him the blank check this year. Give him the keys to the city. Connor Bedard, MVP. I don't really think that's too much of a debate.
Who? You have him as your MVP? What drugs are you on?
A lot of them.
I kid. Now, who you got?
Let's see. This was kind of a really hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard decision. Unfortunately, I think because my number one pick is not on the Blackhawks, no, I'm kidding. It's Connor Bedard. It was always Connor Bedard. Seriously. I mean, I worked with the Blackhawks this year, my first season working in the NHL, and I did get to see a bit of hockey being played with my own 2 eyes and not on a TV. And he just looked so good out there. He was fast. He was skating around. He was making plays, doing usual Connor Bedard stuff. And even after he got injured, he came back with a vengeance. He came back. It was like nothing ever happened. And he just went out there. He did his thing. He did what he was supposed to do. And why would there be any other pick? Like, nobody came close to him. Again, how we mentioned 70 points in 69 games.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good season for him. And just like Nolan said, give him a blank check. I need to see this contract like ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think the contract's going to come in at in terms of we don't talk about the years, but just in terms of the money per year? What are you guys projecting there? Yeah.
I'll go 13 and a half.
I was going to say between 13 and 14, so you're right. Mm-hmm. It's just like the old days, man. Our brains are sinking like Kane Breadman. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 13 and a half is a good sweet spot to where, he's obviously making a shit ton of money. He's also going to be making a shit ton of money through endorsements. I mean, you see what he's doing in Canada. Like, he's the face of Lululemon up there. He's the face of Hyundai up there. Like, I think he's still got Gatorade commercials up there. Like, the kid's going to be cooking, all throughout with endorsements. He doesn't need, the $20 million that other players are going to get. He's going to take a little bit of a hometown discount, just like Crosby and McDavid. So, I mean, that's just where I see it right now.
I like that. I think 13.5. You can get Bedard for 13.5 for 7-8 years. Yeah, you'll run with that. You'll absolutely run with that. You kind of think in the same ballpark, Natalie? Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Honestly, I was thinking just pay him more than they paid Frank, and he'll be set. I knew that regardless of what the deal was, he was going to be paid more than Frank. But I really want them to put a competitive number on there. Even though like these teams know for a fact he's not going to go anywhere else, it's just like you got to put up some competitive numbers. If other teams are trying to find some sort of way to kind of slide in there. Like they're gonna try to scare the team, even though they know it's not gonna happen. But yeah, just give him what he wants. Blank check, everything. My house, my car. Just he could have whatever he wants. Just make sure he gets back here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keys to the city. I think even on the days where this team can be hard to watch, there's not much to look forward to watching. I think every time Bedard's out there, there's a reason to tune in. So he is this team. So yeah, I would say my MVP as well. I actually, there was a guy I was thinking of besides Bedard for this one, Spencer Knight. I think the way he started the year,
I was
especially,
also thinking about him too.
Yeah, you know what? Just because you guys both said Bedard, I'm going to go with Spencer Knight, just to be different. Spencer Knight, the man that you are. I would say besides Bedard, like especially the first half of the season, besides him, like he was this team's MVP. He was the reason this team was in the playoff conversation. He proved this year he could be an elite starting goaltender in the NHL. His numbers did tail off a little bit towards the end. He had some rough games there. I mean, the whole team did, but it's impressive. 55 starts, and it's like, he maybe had, like, you probably count on one hand the amount of bad games he had all year, like maybe 5 at most. And on this Blackhawks team with a defensive core of average age of like 20 years old, like that's very impressive of him. So I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he showed this year that he is our starting goaltender of the future Vezina winner. Yeah, I think besides Bedard, I'd say MVP outside of him. Yeah, it's Spencer Knight. So I'll be different and say him, but in reality, I would say it's Ben Pookie. It really should have had, without the injury, would have had over 100 points. He would have had the season that Macklin Celebrini had. He was producing at the same rate, went down an injury for a month, came back, and, his production tailed off a little bit there, but because the team wasn't playing as well, too, and he was stuck with Osama and Burakovsky as wing as well, so that didn't help him either. But yeah, I think if he can play like the way he did October through December for a full year next year, this team will be in the playoff conversation. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say MVP, Bedsy/Knight if I want to cheat.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be surprised here that none of the three of us also said the team leading goal scorer Tyler Bertuzzi.
Backdoor
I
Burke.
have
Well,
him for something else.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll get into it.
Well,
That's
to be fair, he got
To
a
be
lot of
fair.
those goals. To be fair, he got
To
a
be
lot of
fair.
those goals from Bedard. So it's like, yes, he played well, but like he was the leading scorer because Bedard found him in the power play. So he was like, what McDavid is to Zach Hyman is what Bedard is to Tyler Bertuzzi. But yeah, I mean, he did get those goals. So and he did outproduce Bedard on the goal shield. He wasn't injured though. To be fair, once again.
To be fair.
Yeah, I think we can move on to the next one. LVP, least valuable player, also known as the Shanghai Dragons Kunlun Red Star Award. The worst player in the Blackhawks. I wonder who we're going to say for this one.
I did actually think of a couple of names for this, but I think, again, it's a runaway, just like the MVP. The LVP, his line mate, Andre Burakovsky. Shit. Burakovsky. I mean, 3 points in 31 games with Connor Bedard. I don't know what kind of blackmail he had on Jeff Blashill, but like, how are you only producing 3 points in 31 games with one of the best players in the league? Like, it was just unbelievably terrible, and it just like every single night from like, even before the Olympic break onward, it was just Burakovsky offensive zone turnover, Burakovsky turnover leads to a goal, Burakovsky can't plant a 5-foot open net, like it just god awful.
Yeah, no, I think you summed it up pretty nicely there. You got the same one now, or you got a different one?
Yeah, so it was a kind of a hard choice between Landon Slaggert and him. But Burakovsky definitely kind of takes the cake. I mean, you're playing with Bedard. That's your chance, man. Like, it was he reminds me of a certain person that I'm not going to say because I don't want to be mean to him. Like, if you're playing on a line with Bedard, you should be able to be good.
Oh, I know who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep,
we both know who I'm thinking. Okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just like at that point it's you. It's not Bedard, it's not whoever else is on the line. That's you. You don't know how to play hockey is what I'm hearing. So, I mean, Burakovsky needs to figure something out because it doesn't look good for him.
He needs to figure out flight plans to China. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, he needs to get a
Shanghai Dragons legend.
Someone's got to get him photoshopped in a Shanghai Dragons jersey or something.
I think that's your job.
Yeah, I believe that's all you, my man.
Okay, well, I'll do that. And I'd say I think I'm the one who's kind of started that campaign there. So yeah, my LVP is also Andre Burakovsky, which is a shame because it's easy to forget. Just the start of the year for the Blackhawks and Bedard, Burakovsky was playing very well in 2025. He had 29 points in 38 games. I don't know what happened when the calendar flipped to 2026 and he just suddenly forgot how to play the game. The game left him. I don't know what happened to Burakovsky. 4 points his last 37 games. 4 points his last 37 games, and 31 of them were spent playing with Connor Bedard. I think I could have had more production than that. You almost have to try to get that level of that lack of production. I don't understand what happened to him. He had some injuries, right? I think he maybe took a hit to the head in one of those games early in the year versus the Kraken.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It felt like since then, it just wasn't the same. Because there has to be some logical reason behind it. That doesn't just happen for no reason. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a shame. It's a shame he has 1 year left in his deal. I hope the Hawks, Davidson, can find a way to get out of it. If you could trade him for future considerations or buy him out, just do what you have to do. This guy cannot play this terrorist hockey on this team next year. So I don't know. They got to find a way around it. I'm just not going to bank it. I'm just suddenly refining his form for early on in the season. So, so yeah, for me, he was definitely the runaway. There wasn't really a clear number two for that one. I think this one was even easier than the first one, honestly, MVP. I think Burakovsky ran away with LVP more than Bedard ran away with the MVP. So, yeah. All right. Next on the list, we got most surprising player. The player maybe going into the year you didn't have the most expectations of. He exceeded your expectations. So who do we got for that?
Yeah, I think my most surprising award is gonna go to Ryan Green. I think Ryan Green, he shocked me in a lot of ways, honestly. Number one, I didn't expect him to be up with the big league team, right away off the draw on opening night. And it also surprised me how he was just staple to Connor Bedard all year. I do think, in hindsight, it was a good idea, but also in hindsight, I don't see his ceiling being more than a 3C on a championship team. But he surprised me in a way where he had decent chemistry with Bedard. Not that it's hard to do, with a really talented player like Connor Bedard, but I thought Green, did well in his role. I think, he did really well on the penalty kill. I think that's what he's going to be. He's going to be a shutdown 3C in a couple of years, when this team's actually contending. But I felt like, he was surprising in the fact that, well, in a lot of different ways. But number one, that he was stapled to the top line all year. That surprised me. Number two, that he was still on the team. That surprised me. And number three, he actually did solid in his role. So, I'll give it to him.
All right, very solid pick. Yeah, because I don't think he's a guy too where it's I don't know if we knew for sure he was even going to be on the team, especially full time this year. I think I expected him to be in Rockford. So the fact that he played a full 82 or 81, and spent most of the year on first line at Bedard and was most production amongst rookies, very impressive season for him. So good pick. Yeah. Who you got now?
So I was gonna say Ryan Green, but I feel like Ryan Green's development and just rapid progression kind of was the kicker to let go of Lucas Reichel. Ryan Green took a spot. Let's just say that. Ryan Green took a spot. But I am going to say something that may not be surprising, but I definitely feel like I've heard his name more this year than last year. And I've definitely paid attention to him a lot more this year than last year, and that's Tyler Bertuzzi. I just have never really – I feel like Bedard kind of overshadowed him a lot last year, even though he did produce. But this year it was Bedard and Bertuzzi. Those two were great together. They were a great pairing. They always have been. But every single time I would look up at the TV and I would see somebody scored, it was always Tyler Bertuzzi. And that just shows how bad I am at paying attention to stuff. But it also is okay, I see you. But yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of how much he's produced this year. And I really enjoyed watching him play. I definitely didn't look at him as just Bedard's line mate. He started to become his own hockey player in my mind, which is pretty difficult to do. But he really surprised me this year, and I'm really excited to see what he does again. But he's not my most excited to watch, so.
Very nice. I like that. A backdoor berth, 32-goal season. He definitely improved a lot compared to the previous year, too. I think he had, 23 goals, 20 assists, 43 points, something like that, ballpark it. And yeah, also, like, he was able to, like, when Bedard was injured for a month, he was probably our best offensive producer. I think one of his hat tricks actually came the month where Bedard was out. So backdoor Burt really asserted himself there. And I love the fits he wears, too. Like, he always has just the most unserious fits, just like you can tell he's ready for the Sudbury Summers over there. So it should be a good one. Should be a good one for him. But yeah, he's not my most surprising though. I got the big Louis Crevier, big Illuminati Crevier, 6'8" behemoth, Zdeno Chara on Timu. Like this is a guy too where it's like I just didn't expect him to have the season. I mean, he was the top producing defenseman. Who would have predicted Louis Crevier being the top producing Blackhawks defenseman this year? I don't think a single person on planet Earth would have predicted that. I mean, I think some of us thought he might be an extra defenseman, he might be in Rockford. Just the way he played this year, just perfect third pair defenseman, outstanding defensively. Block shots, physical, can fight fools too, very physical. Get involved in the offense too. The last game of the year that I went at versus the Sharks, he had a multi-goal game. It was absolutely fantastic. 100+ mile per hour slap shot. He's got a bomb back there. I believe he recorded the fastest slap shot on the season. So hopefully, maybe if he's an all-star one day, I'll get to see him do the old Shea Weber's, the Daniel Chara slap shot competition. I don't know if Crevier is going to be an all-star defenseman. Probably not, but maybe we're delusional. As long as there's delusion, there's hope. But yeah, I love what I saw from Crevier this year. I think just a guy, just no expectations. I thought just blew him out of the water, and big fan of his game. So I'll go with him. Yeah,
good call.
Yeah, and then next up we got the opposite, most disappointing. That's kind of the pattern you see. We kind of an opposite land here. Most disappointing player of the year. The player going to the year you had high expectations, thought they're gonna have a big year, and just did not perform the way you expected. So yeah, who you got?
I think I think my most disappointing. I mean, it's easy to do another Burakovsky. I think it's easy to do that, but I won't go there. I'll go Teuvo Teravainen on this one. I think he was just a little disappointing. Just the fact that he didn't really deserve to be on that power play one by the end of the year. He didn't really deserve to be in the top six. I mean, he went all the way down to the fourth line by that San Jose game that we were both at. You failed to mention that I was there too. So
you were there too. Yeah. Also, no one was there.
Yeah, right. So I think under half a point per game this year. I thought that after a post-Olympic break, he looked good for about 5-10 games. I thought he had that post-Olympic juice, but then by the end of the year, I thought he was going to be a top six guy. But he, in fact, decided to be a fourth line guy. And I just think that, for being one of the big veteran additions that they had, him and Bertuzzi a couple of years ago, I just don't think I saw enough out of Teuvo Teravainen where I'm like, yeah, he should be, a guy that we re-sign in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's a fair pick.
He's closer to a buyout than he is for an extension, in my eyes. Not saying that, he should be bought out this summer, but he's closer to that end than he is to being extended.
Okay. Teuvo Teravainen, most disappointing player. Yeah, he definitely dropped off quite a bit compared to last year. I mean, he's one of the more consistent Blackhawks, right? At 58 points this year, 35. He was playing in the top six pretty much all year too. Maybe occasionally you'd see him in the bottom six, especially towards the end of the year when Blashill was kind of he was bringing out the old Richardson line blender towards the end. They're kind of just throwing anything out there, throwing darts at the board. But yeah, didn't get the offensive production from him this year. Teravainen, unlike Burakovsky, can be impactful beyond the score sheet. Very good in the defensive zone, right? Can be good in the penalty kill, things like that. But just not enough offensive production, right? Especially playing second line for you should have more than 35 points. So disappointing season. Too nonchalant out there too. Way too nonchalant. Bit frustrating to watch at times. So yeah, I would say 1 year left in his deal. I'm very curious to see. At this point, I would agree if you know him. Like I wouldn't say he's going to be a part of this core, but he does have that Stanley Cup pedigree, and there's not much of that in his team. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, he can bounce back next year. Yeah. Who do you got now?
Kind of like Nolan said, Burakovsky, easy to say. But this one might be a tad bit controversial, but I'm going to say Artem Levshinov.
That's a fair pick.
Yeah.
No one's not loving it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just everybody had such high expectations for him this year, and he just there was very minimal that I saw of him this season. And I mean, I don't know what that entails. Like, did we not keep him in Rockford for long enough? Did we not? Is there something that we did that caused this? Like, I'm just confused. I'm very confused as to what happened. Um, I'm hoping he gets a lot of practice and reps in the off season, but he needs to start stepping up, and he needs to become the player that we thought he was going to be when we drafted him, because as of right now it's just like I'm kind of like I would honestly rather have Unc Murphy back on the team than Artem Levin.
It was so funny, Murphy, with all these young Blackhawks defensemen. He's like Billy Madison back there. It's just all these kids. And then there's Connor Murphy, who's been here for 8-9 years, however long it's been, or was here for 8-9 years. Now he's on Edmonton, like a bunch of our former Blackhawks legends are. Yeah, I think to answer your question there, I think hindsight's always 2020. I think with Korchinski, probably should have spent another year in juniors in Canada. The reason I bring Korchinski, I think Levchinov probably should have played last year in Michigan State, probably could have spent another year in MSU versus, the pro route, as a teenager playing for Rockford. He got a stretch of games there late at the Hawks. Yeah, actually, look, last year I was really impressed, actually, at the way he looked during those brief Blackhawks starts, but I think sometimes it could give you a false sense of security. I'll get to another player where I think that was the case. But, yeah, I think Levchinov probably should have spent some time at Rockford this year. I think he showed flashes this year of what he can be. I think he had some really nice stretches this year, but he also had some stretches where it's like he just shouldn't be out there, man. I mean, he was going for the Masters Award. He had a -41 in the year, which is near the top of the NHL there in terms of golf there. So, yeah.
Third straight year with the Hawks runner-up for the Masters jacket, actually.
I'm just glad it wasn't Bedard this time. He actually improved his defensive game this year, and only a -18 this year compared to being a -44, -36. And that's checking the stats. Bedard's actually a career -98. So I should make a meme of Bedard, and that's just his jersey number. -98. Get that number off your back. It's a short very nice, legendary show. I need to watch the recent season. I haven't watched it yet, but
pretty good season, pretty good.
But yeah, I'm not to bring up the old trope again, but yeah, every time I watch Ivan Demidov play, it's like, God damn it, dude. God damn it. Like what he could have done in Bedard's wing. But hey, I like Anton Frondel a lot. I think Levchinov, the potential is still there with them, right? I think he's a very young defenseman. They take longer. So I'm not hitting the panic button with him, but yeah, he definitely needs to show. He needs to be the most improved Blackhawk next year, for sure. He's got a long way to go. My most disappointing Blackhawk, I was going to say Teravainen, but you said him, and I'm trying to avoid repeats.
Sorry.
I'm going to go with a similar pick, Sam Rinzel. I think he was a guy I actually had higher stations of compared to Levchinov because he's a couple years older, 2022 draft pick versus 2024 draft pick. I thought the way he looked in those 9 games played the Blackhawks last year, he was absolutely fantastic. A lot of guys, me included, had him pegged as a potential dark horse for the Calder Trophy, and that did not happen. In fact, he was actually sent down to Rockford at one point. So again, similar to Levchinov, he's a young defenseman, his first season in the show, so I'm not going to dog at him too much, but just objectively just did not have the season I think many of us expected. We thought he was going to quarterback the power play. It didn't really happen. We thought he was going to put up numbers. Didn't really happen. I think a lot of it was just unfair expectations. I think both Levchinov and Rinzel, I think both had probably unfair expectations placed on them, but I'm hoping both of them can make tremendous strides next year. I think a lot of the Blackhawks' improvement next year will depend on their young defense getting better. It's not going to happen overnight, but look at the years that Kaiser, Crevier had. If Levchinov and Rinzel could see that type of improvement, we'll be in much better shape. So yeah, I'll go for Rinzel for most disappointing. All right, next up is most underrated. You think the player this year that didn't get talked about enough, didn't get enough props for the season they had? Who'd like to go first?
Yeah. I'll keep going. I think my most underrated. You just mentioned his name, Wyatt Kaiser. I thought Wyatt Kaiser was. I thought Wyatt Kaiser was great this year. I know it didn't really come on the score sheet as much, but obviously he's playing with Artem Levchinov, who nearly won the Masters jacket. So his stats are gonna go down a little bit, but I just noticed how, whenever Levchinov would make it a mistake, at the offensive blue line, Wyatt Kaiser would have to make up 2 strides on whoever's going back. And Wyatt Kaiser did that with ease, and he's just able to, just retrieve the puck. I thought I saw that, at least once or twice a game, it felt like, I think his skating is extremely underrated. I think they should honestly put him on power play 2 as the power play quarterback. They should try that out next year. Because I just think he's one of the only defensemen in the 6 that we have currently that can actually walk the blue line.
Yes.
He can distribute. I think he's a little bit underrated with that. So I'm gonna go Wyatt Kaiser here.
the way he walks the blue line, it's kind of like a Lane Hudson on Wish there. It's I wish we utilized him more there, right? He's definitely got that ability, that skating ability, those offensive instincts. Actually led Hawks in goals too, has a really nice shot. I like to see him use it more. Yeah, they gave him, I think, a little bit of looks in the second year towards the end of the year, but it's the end of the season, man. Blashill finally started cooking at the line combinations when the season was ending. It's like, go figure, but hopefully you learn for next year, right? So I think that's a good pick, Kaiser. Who you got, Nat? Yeah.
So, I don't know if he's kind of considered underrated, but I also feel like he wasn't talked about enough this season. And I call him a silent assassin for a number of reasons. Number one, because I feel like he doesn't really get enough recognition or just enough talking about. And number two, he is the number one, was actually voted by the Blackhawks as best at avoiding the social media person, Mr. Ilya Mikheyev.
Oh, nice. Good pick.
Good one.
He is just like, you don't notice him until he does something, but he does a lot. And that is just crazy to me. I know he had a really good season last year too. I had him on my fantasy team, and he was one of the best people I had on my fantasy team, which is probably not a good indicator of how good I am at fantasy. But no, I mean, I love watching Mikheyev play, but I just think that he's a really good addition to the team, and I really hope they keep him for an extra amount of years. Like he definitely has potential on the team, and I love watching him, and I wish he kind of got more recognition and more talked about.
Ilya Mikheyev, Soupy. It's funny. I originally had Wyatt Kaiser, and then I switched it to Mikheyev. So yeah, between Kaiser and Mikheyev, yeah, I'll go. I'll second that. I'll go with Mikheyev as well. I think just for what he's able to do in the penalty kill, the reason the Blackhawks had. I was going to say the best. I think it actually dropped the second best man of the year, but they had the best penalty kill for most of the season. He's the biggest reason why. I think both of Vlasic and Crevier, the Twin Towers, I think were a big reason. Or a big reason why they had such a good penalty kill there. But I think Mikheyev was, probably the biggest reason why for what he could do as a defensive forward. His speed, especially, he could get those shorthanded looks, and he can produce too. I mean, he had 18 goals, 18 assists, 36 points. He's due for an extension. Obviously, the Bedard extension, that's the big one this summer, but I think the Mikheyev one is definitely a big one as well, and I hope the Hawks bring him back. I think, Davidson didn't deal him over the deadline for a reason. I imagine that's the plan, and hopefully we get Mikheyev extended. So I will second to Mikheyev as the most underrated Hawk, because I think Kaiser has a good claim to it as well. Anyway, next up is best rookie. So by best rookie, this is a player who played at least 25 games, is not called or eligible for next season, right? Best rookie on the Blackhawks. They had quite a few to choose from this year. I believe they had the most amount of rookies in the show this year, I believe. There's plenty to choose from there. Who do you got, Nolan?
Yeah, I mean, first off on Ilya Mikheyev, if we can backtrack just for a second, I think the extension is coming sooner rather than later.
We got a Nolan insider here. Yeah, I will say you predicted, because you said on Monday that Frundell is going to be playing in the World Championships, and I was like, really, is he? And we got that information today. So
we did.
Yeah, I mean, you're always good for a monthly banger prediction there. It seems like, yeah,
yeah,
very nice. Very nice.
Circle back.
I don't know if I can get that far. All right,
dang it.
For my best rookie this year, I could go Ryan Green again, but he already won one of my awards, so I'll give my stick taps to Oliver Moore as my best rookie of the year. I just think his game breaking speed, I think is going to be just an absolute factor. You look at him in that 3C role, and I thought he looked great. You put him next to another shutdown guy like Mikheyev, even though the Mikheyev, Bertuzzi, Frundell line towards the end of the year was cooking. But I will say that, I thought Oliver Moore, chipped in very well. He did his job very well. Had one of the best performances of the year. Not saying it was the best performance, but one of the best performances of the year in that Carolina game.
I was there.
I believe you were at, Justin.
Yeah.
So, he had the fight, he had the assist, and he had the shootout winner all on his 21st birthday. So, hopefully he cracked a couple of beers for that. But I do think, going into next year, Oliver Moore is going to be some guy that I look forward to watching next year. Hopefully he's healthy for at least, a good, decent part of the season.
Morsey, the golden retriever. I think the Hawks were really missing out of more towards that late stretch. I
Mhm.
think having his speed in the lineup, because I felt like they're getting outskated a lot of nights. I think having a guy like Moore there would have been very beneficial. Would have been nice to see him play with the young guys too. He's kind of missing out on that kind of late youth movement there. I like what he saw midseason with him and Lar. Just thought those two develop such a nice chemistry together. I'm a second power play and hope they run that again next year. But really like what I saw from Morsey. Who you got, Natalie?
I'm gonna have to go with Speedy himself, golden retriever, Lucas Reichel 2.0 in terms of speed, Oliver Moore.
Okay, in terms of speed, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything that Nolan said is true. Like, he was definitely the one I watched the most this year, and I've always just had like such a soft spot for Oliver Moore because of that one draft episode that the Blackhawks released.
Yeah,
he was just so excited for everybody, and he made me so happy. I was like, dang, I hope the Blackhawks pick him, and they did. So I'm just going to say Oliver Moore, and once I have enough money to buy another hockey jersey, it's probably going to be a Moore jersey.
Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout.
Definitely feels like he's going to be a fan favorite for sure when he asserts himself, establishes himself. Hope we see him play a full year next year because I do think he's got a lot of potential in this game. I'll never forget Davidson's reaction like when he dropped the Hawks. They weren't expecting him to drop. A lot of people had him going top 10. He was trying to trap and get him, and he was just so amped up. So just feels like a favor in the locker. Feels like all the guys like him, his personality, what he provides. So, yeah, definitely a good shout there. I would say, yeah, if he didn't get hurt, he would be my pick for best rookie, but he got hurt. So I'm going to go with Ryan Green, mostly because he's just the guy. He's the rookie I had the least amount of expectations of. I expected a lot out of Artie Party. I expected a lot of Renzel. I expected a lot of Oliver Moore, to be honest with you, the way he played towards that late stretch last year. Lardis as well, 70 goals in juniors. A lot of these rookies I expected a lot out of. I really didn't expect anything out of Ryan Green. Like, I had no expectations. I thought, decent prospect, but I thought just all the guys we have, I didn't know, like, for sure if he'd be a guy here. But I think this year he showed he's absolutely a guy, just what he's able to provide, whether he's going to be on the wing or playing, third line center in that kind of Dickinson slot. Very good on both sides of the puck, very good at the penalty kill, good complete player, good speed, good pace. Gets a lot of chances if only he can finish them. He's the definition of all Swedish no finish playing up there with Bedard. He left a lot of Bedard points on the table this year, but less so compared to the man himself, Andre Burakovsky. But yeah, no, good season for Green. I think his production doesn't really tell his full story. I think 12 goals, 17 assists, 29 points, 81 games. So he did look very good towards the end of the season. I think he went on a bit of a run there. So I think if he could work on his finishing ability, work on his shot, I think there's definitely a very solid player there, very solid piece. I like what I saw out of Green FN. So I will go with him as the best rookie. And yeah, next up, similar kind of idea, best prospect. So this is anyone who's still called or eligible, hasn't played 25 games. This could either be somebody who featured the Hawks later in the year, or it could be somebody who didn't play in the Hawks. So best Blackhawks prospect, my definition of Blackhawks prospect at least. Who we got, Noah?
I think we spent 10 minutes talking about this on Monday. If you haven't checked out the video, we go check it out. But well, I mean, we just mentioned him as one of the things that I predicted, so I'll go with it again. Anton Frundell, he's going to be in the top 3 for Calder next year. It's going to be, as I've said before, it's going to be an absolute dogfight between him, the Roman Candle, and one of Stenberg or McKenna. Knock on wood that ping pong balls fall our way in a couple of weeks here. But yeah, I think Frundell, what he did at the end of the season, his entire season, most goals by a teenager since Daniel Sedin, or no, by an 18-year-old since Daniel Sedin in the NHL. You win best forward at the World Juniors. You beat your rival nation in Finland on that. I think that everything that he did, especially going into the end of the year too, there was a point in time where he had 3 goals in 2 home games. That was like one of the best, goals per game records.
Just kept scoring at the UC, man. Yeah.
So I think Frundell's the easy pick here, and I'm going with the chalk pick. So I'm very excited to see Anton Frundell next year.
Very nice. Freaky for Frundell. Frundell Friday.
Frundell Friday.
There we go. All right. Who you got, Nat?
Frundell. I don't really have to say anything more. Just Frundell.
Yeah. I will. Well, I'm going to be different than you guys. I'm going to say Roman Kantsarov, the Roman Candle, the Russian sensation, best, U21 KHL season ever, if I'm not mistaken. 64 points, 63 games. Once again, talked a lot about Roman Kantsarov in the last Monday episode where me and Nolan, glazed Frundell and Kantsarov for about half hour. It felt like great season from Kantstrov over there in Russia. We did not get to see him this year with the Blackhawks. Unfortunately, we will see him next year. It's going to be him and Frundell battling for the Calder. I had Frundell, but he was outstanding as well, towards that late stretch there, and he will be playing for Sweden World Championship. So good to be seeing extra Frundell hockey, in May here. That should be a lot of fun. We'll be going for the sweep there, one with the World Juniors in Sweden, looking to win the World Championships with Sweden as well. So, but yeah, Roman Kantserov, I'm really excited to watch him next year. We'll see once he gets to the Blackhawks if he still fouls me or if he unfouls me and his agent gets on that. No one as well. So we'll see what happens there. I'll have to try to get him the program. I don't know if he can speak English, but I'll have to get a translator around here. But yeah, Roman Kantserov, I'd say, is my best Hawks prospect of the year.
There we go.
And, next up, best moment. Kind of self-explanatory, but yeah, the best moment of the Blackhawks. I don't think I have to add an explanation for that one. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, my best moment of the year. I was actually boots on the ground at this game, Sunday in November. Second game with the black jerseys.
Oh.
The Ducks go up 3-0.
I was there too.
Very early. You were there too. Oh, come on.
Yeah, and Natalie was there too. Yeah.
And that was there too. Wow.
We were all there. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Yeah, we were all there. So you all know what I'm talking about. Ducks are up 3-0. I mean, my dad and I are thinking, hey, we're probably going to lead the game, at halfway through the second period because of how terrible this was. But then here comes Mr. 98 in black, Connor Bedard, a 4-point night, 2 goals, 2 assists, talking all the shit he can to Mason McTavish towards the end of the game. I don't know if you guys saw the cinematic recap of that game, but if you look at it, you could see myself during the fourth and the fifth goals, actually. You can see me losing my shit in the background. Shout out Ryan Green for putting up his elbow, so you can't really see me, fully losing my shit. But I think 100%. This was one of my favorite moments of the year, and this was, I think of this personally as if the Hawks, were to go down and Bedard stayed healthy and they were going to the playoffs, everyone would have been talking about that game. It still would have been talking about that game in April because everyone wanted to glaze Celebrini for what he did, even though Bedard did it 4 months earlier. So. That is my favorite moment of the year.
It did feel like that was Hawks Up talked about a fellow Blackhawks Instagram page. I felt like that was the peak of the season. I felt like everything kind of went downhill after that. I don't think the Hawks won another game, the black jerseys after that. That jersey became kind of cursed on the season. It was good to see him bring it back for the aura, for the style. But in terms of performance, I don't know why the team just always sucked when they wore the black jersey. That was the only time they won. I think probably because we were there, right? Probably because we were there. So
yeah, I'd say so.
Coincidence? I think not. That's a good one. That's a good one. What's your best moment, Natalie? Yeah.
So I have an honorable mention. It's not necessarily Blackhawks game related, but it does have to do with the Blackhawks. So my honorable mention is meeting Hagel's Bagels at my brother's state hockey game.
There we go.
Oh, no way.
He was broadcasting for New Trier, and it was New Trier and Brother Rice in the state final. And he texted me asking, hey, did your brother play hockey? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I think I'm broadcasting his game. And I look over to where the broadcasters were, and I see him. He waves at me, and I'm like, oh my God. So we were talking a little bit before and after the game. It was really nice to see him again. He looks great. He did a really good job on the commentary. I listened to a little bit of it while I was sitting in my car wallowing when Brother Rice went down 3-0. But anyway, shout out Hagel's Bagels. Anyway, my best moment, I was also boots on the ground for this one, working. The Bedsy hat trick.
Which one?
I forgot which game it was.
Were they playing the Setters or the Flames?
The first one.
I was also at that game, so I was going to put that as an honorable mention.
I was not at that game. Yeah.
I was working that game. I believe I was out in the crowd because I was a floater, which basically means I didn't have to do anything. So I was just kind of standing there waiting for something to happen. And I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I was in the crowd. Everybody was cheering around me. Cheering with some fans, while you're working there is kind of crazy. But that was a very memorable moment, and there was honestly nothing better than seeing that in person.
That was the first time I threw a hat on the ice.
Yeah
Ever?
So R.I.P. Nolan's hat.
Ever.
What hat was it?
It was my my Blackhawks Winter Classic hat from 2024. R.I.P.
Well, you're not
They
going
had
to miss
the
that one.
nice-
The way
the nice
that game
patch on
went
the
is
side.
probably, you're probably happy to get rid of that one, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, at least they gave me 25% off in the team store to go get a new one, so.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every hat trick that they have, it's like 20 or 25% on the Blackhawks store, so I was able to just leave my section and get a hat real quick. I mean, I think I missed the, everyone cleaning up the hats, but by the time that, play resumed, I had a new hat, so it was great.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. I will say my honorable mention is I'll be cheeky. Meeting Higgles Bagels at Union Station before the season started in the preseason. Yeah, that was a good time. Hawks Union Station. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I took a photo of Frank Nazar. I got to meet Frank the Tank, so that was very cool. Not sure if he recognized me or not. He kind of had a look in his eye like, I feel like I've seen you before. But anyway, I'm not big conspiracy theorist. But yeah, met Frank Nazar and did not meet Bedard Knight or Vlasic, but saw them, was in the vicinity of them as well. And both you guys were there as well with me. So that was a good time, good experience. I think, kind of started the good vibes in the season there. But yeah, not to pick the same thing, but like I feel like this is like the easiest one. The Bedard first career hat trick, right? We had to wait a long time for it. We had to wait 3 seasons, a bit longer probably than we would have expected, but that game, man, was magical. Like that game was so magical. The way the Hawks played, the way Bedard looked that game, every single goal he scored was absolute cinema. Hawks even tweeted an absolute cinema thing. Very interesting. But yeah, no, it was a hell of a goal. Hell of a game for Bedard. He would have another hat trick too. And I think just that was his arrival, man. It's like, yeah, he's had a good first couple of years, but I think this year, especially those first few months of the year, we really saw what this guy can be. We saw that elite player he could be, a franchise game changer. He was the best player in the NHL his first 3 months of the season. I don't think that's hyperbole to say. Before he went out of an injury, he was the best player in the NHL. He was at least up there. So the injury, unfortunately, kind of changed the trajectory of the season, but I think if we can see that type of Bedard for a full year next year, that would be great. I think he could be in the Hart conversation, kind of like what Celebrini was this year. But no, see him get the first career hat trick, man, was just early on in the season, the way the Hawks were playing, like it was great. It was a good time. It's a shame, the season, didn't last. It didn't last. Right, second half of the year kind of snapped back to reality. But that first half of the season, man, from October through November, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. Hopefully, get that back next year for a full season, right? But yeah, that's all I got for that. And next up, best/worst trade. So I guess either you could say your best or your worst or your both, whatever you want. Nolan, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go. Yeah, the best trade, I think, I don't think this is, much of a debate, was the fleecing of Edmonton, fleecing of Stan Bowman. That just felt so good from a moral perspective. But, also, like, yeah, sure, you're getting rid of, a rental in Dickinson, a rental in Murphy, Colton Dock, who pretty much did not really have a future on this team. Sorry to say it, but, like, he really didn't. And then you're getting a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and Mangiapane, which – for the time he was on the ice, he actually showed, like, he wanted to be here, He showed a little bit of fight, which I don't think a lot of the Hawks, down the stretch really showed. But I liked Mangiapane's play throughout the last 15 games when he was on the ice, when he was healthy. And I just think, another asset for Kyle Davidson to work with, another 2 assets, actually, that Kyle Davidson can work with going into the offseason now with a first-round pick and a second-round pick, and you never know. It could be another Florida situation where Edmonton could miss the playoffs next year. Hopefully we don't have to find out about the conditions, 11 months later, but still.
Shout out Frank Cervoli on that one. That's ridiculous, man. We should have 2 top picks this year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So I think I think the whole Edmonton trade was the best one. I don't really have a worst one. I'll let Nat go into the worst one if she wants to.
That's fine.
Lucas Reichel.
So for my best trade, I also said the fleecing of Edmonton, because I feel like it also kind of paved the way for Frundell to come in. Worst trade, surprisingly, it's not Lucas Reichel.
Wow.
I know, you guys, right? I know.
That's a shocker.
I'm putting my biases aside, mostly because Reichel went to the Bruins. I knew deep down in my mind and my heart that Reichel was not going to stay on Vancouver. I knew it. I knew that he was going to go to a better team. Not like there were like a lot of options. Anything was better than Vancouver. But I did not expect him to go to the Bruins. Did it pain me that he went to the Bruins? Yes, it did. It did not pain me more than Patrick Kane going to the Red Wings. but it's still paying me nonetheless. For the worst trade, I put the Foligno trade. And I'm not saying that because of Nick Foligno. I literally called. I also do a radio show on Radio DePaul Sports called Chicks Who Check. It's a hockey show, obviously. And literally the day before it happened, I said, Jason Dickinson, Connor Murphy, and Nick Foligno will be traded this week. And they were. However, I was really mad that they traded Nolan Allen. I was confused. I was confused, and I was also confused about the what was his name? Who else did they trade with him?
Brossoit, Blackhawks legend,
Yeah.
never played a game.
Brossoit,
Never
yeah.
played a game. Yep.
Never played a game.
Yeah.
But I was like, why did we not why did we just trade them? I was confused about that. But I was also very upset about getting my favorite player back, future considerations. So like I wonder what's going to happen with that. It just, for me, future considerations is like the trade of doom and despair. Like, when are we going to see future considerations? Who is future considerations going to be? Like, I don't know. Nobody knows. And yeah, I think just that looming ominousness of future considerations is enough for it to be the worst. Honorable mention, the Lucas Reichel Award, Lucas Reichel. So.
Yeah, I think future considerations is just a fancy way of saying nothing because you can't trade for nothing, so they just call it future considerations. Has future considerations ever actually became anything? I think I did some research on that.
Wasn't Beauvillier a future consideration?
Sorry.
Was he not?
Sorry, what was the question?
Anthony Beauvillier, was he a future consideration?
I think so.
I don't know.
I'd have to go back and check that. Yeah, I could fact check that, but
I don't
potentially.
remember.
I do know in baseball they do a thing called a player to be named later.
Yeah, player to be named later.
Yeah, which is basically for future considerations cousins. And I know, like, probably 10 years ago or something like that, the Padres traded Trey Turner to the Nationals, and he was a future considerations, and he's become an all-star for both, Washington, LA, and now Philadelphia. Saw him last night, struck out twice. It was great.
Very nice. Yeah, I don't know hockey if it ever becomes anything. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I would say my best trade, the Lucas Reichel trade. I'm just kidding. I would say it was the Jason Dickinson trade. I would say I'm joking. I would say Jason Dickinson for conditional first. Yeah, because I think who would expect a first round pick for Jason Dickinson? Although, to be fair, the way he's looked in the playoffs so far, maybe he is worth a first round pick. So yeah, I would say that one. It's always good to fleece Stan Bowman. I'll never forgive that man for the tears he's done to this organization, trading Artemi Panarin, trading Nicholas Hjalmarsson, and destroying that Blackhawks core that should have still been a playoff team, that should have still been competing for cups, but that 2017 offseason will forever live in infamy. So yeah, I would say that trade was the best trade. Always good to fleece him. And yeah, I don't really know if I have a worse trade, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, I would say they're all pretty decent, to be fair. So, yeah, I don't got anything for worst trade. Yeah, next up, I have most excited to watch next year / breakout player, whichever way you want to answer it. Yeah, I would say most excited to watch, pretty straightforward breakout player. It can't be a rookie because I think if in order to have a breakout season, I think you have to have been in the league for at least a year. You're expanding on another season. So anyone who's not a rookie is eligible for that. So who'd like to go first? Yeah.
Anyone who's not a rookie. I put a rookie
I
for.
feel like we both put Frondell for that.
No,
Okay,
I didn't.
You can do it then. You can do it. Yeah.
You didn't? Okay.
No. I mean, I went in depth on this on a Monday show, but I think most excited to watch next year. His transition to North American ice. You're bringing over, one of the best KHL seasons by a U25 forward ever. Give me the Roman Candle. Give me the Roman Candle. I think I'm just so excited to see his adjustment. Just to see where he's going to fit into this lineup. Like, if you put him on the bumper on power play 1, you're going to easily see over half a point per game, which, for a rookie is very good. I don't know if he'll put up a point per game. Depends upon if he plays next to Connor Bedard or if he plays next to Frank Nazar or, whoever he plays next to. But I think Roman Kanserov, I said this on Monday, I'll say it again. He has been the most excited. He's the guy who I've been most excited to watch, the most exciting prospect that I have seen in a very long time. Just to see everything that's going on in Russia. Obviously, I have pirated some games. Please don't flag me. Please don't flag me. I've been watching.
Crime.
Yeah, right. I've been watching a lot of his game tape. Obviously you see the 36 goals. You see, what he did in the playoffs. The javelin throw into the crowd. I just think, imagine if he does that at the UC.
Oh my! What don't they have a rule against that now? Because I know both Hughes and Caulfield threw their sticks in the crowd. Don't they have a rule now where it's like you get fined if you do it or something? He'll take the fine. He'll take the
fine.
He'll
take the fine. Yeah. Exactly. Make the Wirtzes pay for it or something like that, because that'll draw attention back into the UC and just make the madhouse again.
It might be spiritual. You gotta be careful though. What if he injures a fan or something? He's just like, whoa.
He's got to throw it to one of us then, because at least we know we're gonna
we catch it, right? Yeah, we catch it. So not someone on their phone. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think just depending upon deployment, depending upon if he stays in Chicago the entire year, Roman Kantsarov this is some guy who I've been looking forward to for the last 2 years now, to actually see him hopefully in the opening night lineup in October. I am so excited for it.
Very nice, very nice. Who are you most excited to watch, Nelly?
Give me Sasha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think that it'll be nice to see. I feel like we've talked about him a lot on the other podcast. But yeah, so I think that Nolan's glazed him quite a bit. And from what I've heard from the Nolan glazing, it got me excited. Do I know a lot about him? Not yet. However, it's just like, I trust Nolan.
Thank you.
Trust the prospect himself.
Thank you.
And I couldn't pick Frondell, so I had to pick somebody else, and it might as well be him. So, but the real one is Frondell. But yeah,
I like that. I'll go with breakout player. I'm gonna go with Lardy Party, Nick Lardis.
Love it.
Yeah, I think Frondell can't are the guys like everyone's gonna talk about for good reason. But what about Nick Lardis? What about a full season Nick Lardis, man? Quietly 20 goal production. We're full 82 this year, 10 goals, 41 games. Right? Probably should have been way more than that. Right? He was playing with Bedard in that first night. He wasn't quite finishing. He was finishing with Frank Nazar. Those two had a special dynamic connection. He's thrown up to the first line and suddenly forgot the finish. He becomes Ryan Green. So I think if you play him in the second line full year with Frank Nazar next year, they should be playing those two together the way they play, the connection, chemistry those two have. I think he could have an absolute breakout season next year in the top six if he's still here, because I do think the Hawks will be pretty busy this summer, and I do unfortunately think a guy like that might be a sacrificial lamb if the Hawks decide to upgrade and go for a veteran like a Nyes or a Thomas or a Robertson, whoever that ends up being. But no, I think Nick Lardis has a future in the league. I think he could be an Alex DeBrincat type player, right? Very small. I think the fact that he dropped to 67 is pretty. The fact that he dropped to 67 in the draft is pretty unreal. Third round is pretty egregious. Yeah, because I think he is a first round talent. I think he's going to put up a lot of goals in this league. I think he's got that shot. He is a complete player too, right? He's not one dimensional like all the scouts have been saying. So he posted up an Insta today too. So yeah, I love Lardy Party. He's got that insane aura. And yeah, I'm gonna go with him for the Hawks breakout player next year.
And I'll say this: the Get Franked handshake that him and Frank had. I don't know if you saw the GIF.
I commented that GIF on his post.
Unreal.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah. No, so I'm a big fan of Lardy Party. Yeah. No.
Huge. Sure. Yeah, he was my honorable mention. I mean, I think a full 82 of Nick Lardis up working that power play too, depending upon who else is on that power play too. But I mean, he is going to be the focal point of that power play, and I think you can see 20, 25 goals next year.
That's not just Frank Nazar, right? He had good chemistry with Alvin Morris. Well, we didn't see it the second half of the season, but they played together in both Rockford and Chicago this year. And wherever they played together, they played well together. So, yeah, I think Lardis is a good pick there. All right, that's it for the Blackhawks awards, but we do have one more slot here, more NHL related. We got our Cup winners, Stanley Cup winners. Who we got? Yeah.
So going into this, I had the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think, it's just, they've been there before. They can do it again. John Cooper's the best coach in the NHL. They've got the top three player, Nikita Kucherov. They've got, guys like Darren Radish who have come up and been unreal this year. Brandon Hagel. God, do I miss Brandon Hagel? That fight last night with him and Slavkovsky where he dropped him and then did the small celly on him. I thought that was unreal. But I just think that after Montreal, I don't really see Boston or Buffalo as a threat after Tampa, and then that other side of the bracket where you got it could be either Philly, Carolina, Pittsburgh, or Ottawa. I just don't see anyone in there, so I think it's going to be more of an easier path for Tampa. And I think if they just if they get healthy, if they get Hedman back as soon as they can, they're going to be real dangerous. They've been there before. They can do it again.
All right. Who you got, Natalie?
So I did 2 brackets. I did one by myself and then one with a group of friends. And so for the bracket I had for myself, I picked the Carolina Hurricanes to win. I feel like they're long overdue. Will it be kind of, I don't want to say bittersweet, but Teravainen was on there for so many years, and if they win this year
without
Teravainen, I'll feel like so bad for him and him only. But don't we still have a Blackhawks legend, Taylor Hall, on that team?
We do, yes. Blackhawks legend on the team. Yeah.
So that's a Blackhawks legend I would love to see win, other than a Blackhawks not legend who won last year, but we will not talk about him.
I don't know who
you must not be named. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Gustav Forsling, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
There we go.
But anyway, for my other bracket, the one that I did with my friends, I picked the Edmonton Oilers. Again, another team that I feel like is super overdue. They are a star-studded team. They got McDavid, Draisaitl, and a couple Blackhawks legends, Jason Dickinson and Unc Connor Murphy. But
what about Colton Dach? You're forgetting about Colton Dach.
The best Dach brother, much better than Kirby. What the hell
Him.
happened to Kirby last night with that
Him.
icing at Lost Montreal the game? Unbelievable,
Kirby,
man.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just, again, another team that is long overdue. I would love to see Connor McDavid get his flowers after being snubbed in the Olympics. I shouldn't say snubbed. I should say slimed on by Team USA. Dear Canada, we are going to slime you out. Sincerely, Team USA. But anyway, yeah.
Always the bridesmaid, Connor, never the bride.
Yeah, that's what they kept leaving Bedard off the roster, man. He would have had the goal.
That's karma.
Yeah.
That is karma.
It's just like the Canadian World Juniors team leaving Van Ecker and Boisvert off. I mean,
exactly.
Look at what happened then.
Right.
Yeah. Frendell, of course, he's going to be the guy. There's no coincidence.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just 2 teams that are long overdue. And yeah, I mean, I also wouldn't be disappointed if the Wild won. I wouldn't be disappointed if they won either because of Mr. Ghostman. I'm solely for the Wild because of the memes, because of Quinn Hughes and his ghosts.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like they should have like phantom listings on the cup if they win of all of his ghosts. Like Ghost 1, Ghost 2, Ghost 3. But anyway, Edmonton or Carolina for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder, Quinn Hughes, it's funny, man. I wonder what is going on up there. Yeah, because I will say I can't relate to the ghost stuff. I feel like I've been seeing like a lot of ghosts over the past year, so I can relate to Quinn Hughes. But I'm not quite going to pick Minnesota though. I'll go with my cup winner, Carolina. Similar logic. I think they have the easiest path. I mean, I look at this path here that the first couple rounds are pretty straightforward for them. Eastern Conference Final, even whether they're facing Pabs or Tampa, Buffalo ends up being. I think that's a step up. I think still pretty straightforward. Cup Final will be difficult because you would think it's going to be one of those Central Division teams or Edmonton. So, but yeah, I think they have the easiest path. I think one of these years they have to win the Cup. They've been close so many times. They're always good to win a round or two and then never get past the Eastern Conference Final. But I feel like this is the year for them to do it. A lot of the betting sites have the best odds. I think the path is there for them. It's set them. So, yeah, I have them win the Cup. I was in between them and Colorado. I have them beating Colorado in the Cup Final. But I originally had Colorado, but then I remember they won the President's Trophy, and I want to keep the 2013 Blackhawks, the President's Trophy, Cup winning streak alive there. I want that to be the last team, the last President's Trophy team to win the Stanley Cup until the Blackhawks and win the President's Trophy and win the Cup. So, yeah, I got Carolina as my Cup winner, and then Colorado as the finalist. So, yeah. I think that's all we got for the awards here. Man, we've been at this for over an hour. Damn. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been a good one. We'll do plenty more in the future, for sure. Plenty more content. So thank you both to Nolan and Natalie for joining us today. And this is Justin Lynch, Beyond Beams out. And we'll see you on the next one. And if you like the content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Absolute cinema. Boop.